as I have reminded you several times, please just check that everybody, while Siti is speaking, that you mute your mics and that you turn off your cameras. There will be a chance to ask questions later on in the meeting. At any time, you may ask them in the chat. You can also ask them on our Twitter account and also on our Facebook. All of those are being monitored. Siti Kasim is a human rights lawyer. She stands up for people. She's an empowered woman. She founded MAJU, Malaysian Action for Justice and Unity. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Siti. Thank you ever so much for coming along. And we look forward to your talk. So, Siti, it's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andy. I much appreciated this opportunity to share my experience about empowerment. I shall start basically, and hello everyone. Thank you for joining this meeting. I would like to start this this session by actually asking what is really the meaning of empowerment. I have actually, I'm not a social science student, and I have no idea, to be honest, the meaning of empowerment. But what I have checked, across the internet, I think this is a good description of about empowerment. The empowerment it describes here is to increase the degree of autonomy and self-determination in people and in communities in order to enable them to represent their interests in a responsible and self-determined way, acting on their own authority. So that actually describes quite well of what empowerment means to me as well. Basically, I have not heard of this word when I'm younger, and I people keep asking about how do you become so brave speaking up about issues and facing the authorities and all that. To be honest, I am not brave. I am always scared and always fearful as well. But I try to overcome these feelings that I have when I know that what I'm doing is actually, that I am right in what I'm thinking and what I'm doing. So this is really about, pushing myself to not be fearful. And that is the issue here. The reason why I have always thought that I must speak up for things that I find not right and is injustice is because I feel that if I don't speak up for myself, who would speak up for me? And this is what I mean as being empowered, for yourself. It is to help you gain control over your own life. It's to foster this power within you in your own life and your community and your society on issues that you find important. So it is about challenging the assumption about the way things are and things that can be. So when you actually, feel that, oh, I am fearful for speaking up because I don't know much about this subject. We are all given this brain, right? You know what is right and what is wrong. So I can just give you an example of, a lot of stories about my life that how, I sometimes people find the way I am, the way I act is OTT, over the top. Or maybe I'm rude, depends on how you perceive things, basically. And not everybody will be the same like me, but this is how I am. So, for example, I went to the renewing your car, something to do with the car in MAJU. I remember this. And when I went there, I took the number basically, as like everybody else, you take the numbers and then you fill in the form and all that. So being a good person, I just do that, and then I submitted the form, and they gave me a number. Then I waited and like the rest of them, and sat for 30 minutes, and suddenly the counter closed. There are still a lot of us waiting, but the counter closed, and it's not even closing time. Everybody else seemed to be accepting that, and just say, we have to come back again. Nobody questioned. Nobody actually asked, what are they trying to do? Because the closing time says, but they closed the counter at 3:30. So I went up to the counter, and I actually said, asked them, I said, why do you close the counter? It's not closing time yet. I have been sitting here for 30 minutes. You have given me a number, and yet you are closing the counter without explaining the reason why. So this woman at the counter actually said, we have to, count what has happened the day. So we have to actually make a closing. And I won't accept that kind of explanation. And as usual, as everybody knows, when you talk to the people at the counter, they are not the bosses. So they cannot answer why, they are just following instruction. And so I said, call your boss. And I said, I want to know why you closed the counter early. Do you think I have all day, every time to come here whenever it suits you? So this basically they call their bosses. And I asked the same question. I said, I will not accept this kind of explanation. And I want you to finish off my business today, because I don't have the time to come all the way here just to fit in with your time. So, the lady supervisor cannot answer. And she gave me the same answer. And I said, I want to see your bigger boss. Who is the bigger boss here right now? So when having heard that, then they actually, she said, never mind, just do hers, finish off her this one. So my work got done on that day. But what about the rest that went home and not being, attended to? Because a lot of them think that this is the way it is, so we have to accept. So for me, is that this is the empowerment that we must have. We must actually question. We must not be afraid when people tell you something, and then you, in your heart or in your mind, you know that the information received is not right. Something is not right there. So do question. Do not be afraid to speak up. In Asia, I find that people seem to accept what's being told to them and what's being directed to them. They seem to accept whatever being informed to them. So I see that nobody seems to be questioning of the information given, and everybody seems to be so afraid to question. This is something that we have to overcome, and I know it's not easy. Not everyone are able to actually question things because they feel that they have no knowledge. They are in fear that they will be arrested because saying the wrong thing. And I can understand that, because we see a lot of people merely by actually stating facts and question things, and they get arrested for no reason. So we are living in a fear situation. But the thing is, I always say when people ask, is that if you ask question on facts, you should not be afraid. You do not need to be a lawyer to actually to know about your rights. Actually, rights are inherent. You just know it automatically as a person, as a human being. You do not need to be a lawyer or any kind of professional to actually understand what is right and what is wrong. So we only need to rise and actually say something, and not to be quiet when we are being bullied by others. Some people ask me, how do I cope with a lot of abuse or a lot of threats online towards me? I just want to say that everybody can be empowered. Empowered means that you speak up for yourself, because nobody will speak up for you. And if you are not happy about something, just say it, say it, and so that people know that we are not happy about any kind of situation that we are in. This is why people say I'm anti-Islam or anti-Malay, and things like that. None of it is true, because questioning doesn't mean you're anti of anything. Okay, as a Malay, I've always said that I am ruled, under these so-called regulations. That as a Malay, I am told what to eat, how to dress, how to think, and everything about me as a Malay. Being automatically born, you are automatically a Muslim, and so you are actually being governed by these laws that I know personally that it is not Islamic. It is not Islam that I know. So I speak up. And basically, because I say that if I don't speak up for myself, and who will speak up for me? I need to tell the world, I need to tell the people that I don't accept these rules and regulations, on my faith to be set upon me. I don't agree with it. So this is why I feel that if anything happens to me because speaking up for what I believe, then I am ready to face the consequences. But I have never feel that whatever I say is anything against Islam or anything against my own race. So basically, what I'm saying is that I cope by feeling that what I'm doing is the right thing. Because if I don't speak up, as I said, then nobody is going to come and help me. I have to say it. So this is, for example, I was selling a house, my own house in PJ before. As everybody knows, or maybe not, but a lot of houses in PJ, they are on lease, yeah. This is another example how I managed to do things, because I stand up against the system. So this house, without, in PJ, if you are selling a house, you will first it goes to the land office in PJ, and then the land office will send your file to the MB office in Shah Alam for approval, because it's lease. So they need approval from the MB office. Now, I was told at that time I wasn't familiar. In fact, I'm still not familiar with conveyancing, because I'm not a conveyancing lawyer. So basically, I asked my colleague, my friend, to help me to do the conveyancing. So he actually told me. He actually said to me, Siti, you have to wait probably around 6 months before you can get approval, because properties belong to Bumiputra. Will take time. They will reject you a few times first before they finally, allow you to sell. And I was shocked when I heard that. I was thinking, why? I didn't buy this house under the Malay reserve land. I bought it from a Chinese, and I want to sell it to a Chinese. So what's the problem? But through his own experience, he said he's been in conveyancing practice for like 20 years. And he said, well, this is the norm. This is the problem. Because this is so-called the norm, nobody dares to question. Nobody dares to rise and ask them why. So when I heard this, I actually went straight to the office in Shah Alam, the MB office. At that time, it was Kir Toyo. Fortunately, he's not in. I met his assistant. And I actually asked these questions. I said, without any appointment, I just went and bulldozed, and I felt this is, how can they actually control what I want to do with my own property? So I went and speak to the assistant and said, nobody wants to sell the house for no reason. Either they need the money, either there's something changed in their personal life or things like that. Or they are buying another house, so they desperately need to sell their properties. But why are you actually, controlling the way we actually deal with our own lives? And so this lady actually told me, but that's the policy. I said, what policy? You are not helping the Malays. You are penalizing the Malays for trying to sell their own property. It's because every time you appeal, at that time, we have to pay 200 ringgit every time. And I say, you are not helping the Malays. You are actually making the Malays burdened with this kind of thing. In fact, I saw one file. It's been rejected 10 times on the front page of the file. And this person who's trying to sell his property is probably frustrated with the rejections that he has been receiving. And I actually saw my file. They have already stamped it as reject as well. And luckily, my file was still in Shah Alam. So after I spoke to the assistant, they finally, say, okay lah, we just because I went there and actually questioned them and asked, so they let me off. So they actually allow me. They gave me the certificate, or not certificate, the lulus basically. So this is one example of, if you feel that it's not right, go and face it. Go and question them and go and ask them why. Why are you rejecting anything that you are applying? So so that's what I did, and so I was happy. My application to sell my home, was allowed, and so it took. Then I waited for the certificate. After you are approved to sell your property, you should get a certificate. Yeah. So the file then sent back to the land office in PJ. So I waited for 2 weeks. Nothing happened. Nothing came back. Then basically I said, what the hell is going on? I said, so I went to the land office. So this is the kind of red tapes, that we have to face in our lives. So I went to the land office and actually asked them, I gave the number. I said, I'm the owner of the property. Can you check whether you have received the approval from the MB office? So this woman shuffle, go and take my file and say, and look, oh yeah, it's being approved. But your office boy did not come and pick it up. What? I said, okay, never mind. I said, I don't want to discuss about that anymore. Okay, since I'm the owner, I am here. You give me the certificate to me now. But the lady said to me, oh cannot. Sorry, madam. The boss is in a meeting, so he needs to sign the certificate. And I said, you said the certificate is ready, but not being picked up. So I'm here. You can give it to me. But she said, no, it's not signed yet. And I was like really very upset. I started to raise my voice. And then, he said, I'm sorry, I can't disrupt the meeting with the boss. But I stopped her there. I said, listen, I don't want to hear any more excuses. I don't care whether he's in a meeting with God. You better get my certificate signed now. And I think after having heard that, she knows that she cannot answer anymore. And then she said, can you please wait? So within 10 minutes, I got my certificate. So this is what I actually meant by, why do we need to push our way through this? When this is the question I always ask, why are they making our lives as citizens very difficult? Somebody else may just wait and then submit to the system, and then submit to all these inefficiencies by the authorities and all that, and we will be like sheep. We are merely followers. We need to actually empower people I have so many stories how I have to actually put my feet down and say, no, I will not accept this kind of explanation. And I know not everybody can be like me.